Thank you. Can you convince me that your prior positions on gay rights have truly changed? I'm especially concerned about your previous support of conversion therapy, which I find really, really repulsive. And I'd like to understand what caused you to reevaluate your positions and change them.
Thank you for your question. I want to correct the record on something that's very important that you raised. I personally never supported any kind of conversion therapy. I never advocated for conversion therapy. And frankly, I didn't even know what conversion therapy was until just the last few years. I think it was when I was first running for Congress when someone was asking me about it.
The rest of it, she said in the interview with me, she said in other places, explaining how she evolved on LGBT issues. But, you know, listen, I like Tulsi Gabbard, but got to call her out if she's not being completely honest. In that clip, she's not being completely honest. She full-throatedly, wrong terminology, full-fledged supported her father's group. I think it was the Alliance for Traditional Marriage, I think it was called. And she publicly supported her father's group and did work for her father's group. And her father's group, one of the main things about her father's group, in addition to fighting same-sex marriage, in addition to trying to get things passed in Hawaii to prohibit rights for homosexuals and to cement in law that marriage was between a man and a woman, her father's group that she publicly worked for and supported was for gay conversion therapy. So when she says, I didn't know what gay conversion therapy, I've never personally supported it, I mean, I can't get in her head, but I can say you did support your father's group back then, and your father's group was very, very active in the gay conversion therapy movement. So I like Tulsi Gabbard, but in that one answer, I don't think she's being completely honest, to tell you the truth. I like the rest of her answer. Which she gave me when we interviewed her, and she said in her video on why she evolved on homosexuality and same-sex marriage and all that. But listen, I mean, you don't pretend you weren't. Don't pretend you didn't know what gay conversion therapy is, because that was one of the big parts of your father's group. Being for gay conversion therapy and all that. That was the only thing that I really had a problem with from this town hall. But other than that, I thought it was good. I'll play this last one because I actually think it was one of the best answers she had.
Aloha.
Hi. We, as a people, have really benefited greatly from the capacity of science to make predictions about an unknown future. Climate science predicts that this century we will suffer catastrophic consequences of accelerating global warming. Yet the government's response has been to turn a blind eye. Why does this issue not have more political traction, and with what urgency will you address it if you are elected president?
Yeah, thank you. You know, before I ran for Congress, I served on our Honolulu City Council, district that is one of the largest city councils in the country, represented close to 100,000 people. And one of the things that we went through in our deliberations and bringing in experts and meeting with planners, city planners, was the impact of climate change on our home as an island state. This wasn't some far-off theory or some possibility in the next generation that people might have to face. This was in the next 10, 15, 20 years, how much are the sea levels going to rise that are going to start taking over our communities? And we're seeing this now. There was just a resolution passed in Hawaii calling for an emergency because homes and roads are being eroded because of these rising sea levels in the ocean. So we know how urgent this is, as do many people in this country. I think there are a number of reasons we can look to why Washington hasn't taken this more seriously, and I think one of the big ones is the big influence of money in politics, as well as industries like the fossil fuel industry continue. You have high-powered lobbyists who try to block and get in the way of real legislation being passed. But this is something that will require us as people to stand up and make sure that our voices are heard to the leaders of this country to understand the seriousness of this threat and how bold action must be taken to protect us, to protect our home and our planet and our future. Yes, there are things that we can do in our everyday lives to try to make this change, but this really needs to happen at the national level, and it needs to happen at the global level. Even if we made the kind of change we need to see, the radical change we want to see here in this country to completely get off of fossil fuels and invest in green economy and sustainable infrastructure and make the kinds of changes we want to see, that still will not have enough of an impact unless we are seeing these kinds of changes also being made in other countries in the world. This is why it's so important that we have relationships with these other countries that are based on cooperation so that we can talk about how we can protect our environment, how we can protect our future. If we can't have those conversations, then there's no possibility for progress there. So,
a few things about that I like. Number one, she hasn't signed on for the Green New Deal. I don't know why. I wish the CNN anchor would have asked her why, because I think she should sign on to the Green New Deal unless there's something I'm missing about the Green New Deal. However, one of the points she's making that you don't hear other people making is part of the reason that we shouldn't have the new Cold War with Russia, part of the reason we shouldn't be having, building up war with Iran, part of the reason we shouldn't get involved in Venezuela, part of the reason we should get the hell out of Afghanistan, part of the reason we shouldn't be bombing Yemen. This is a global catastrophe not waiting to happen, already happening in real time. Climate change. So we need to be able to work with all countries. Well, you can't work with all countries if you're bombing 9 countries. Can't work with all countries if you're having a nuclear tit-for-tat with Russia. Can't work with all countries if you're threatening a coup in Venezuela, which has the largest oil reserves in the world. Not so great for climate change. So she's making the connection, well, peace is not only in our national security issues, it's in our issues to save the planet. So, those are my thoughts on the Tulsi Town Hall. I think overall she did pretty well. I think overall she kept it calm because I think Dana Bash from CNN was trying to rope her in to, some negative sound bites that they could play on a loop. She didn't take the bait. I thought there were questions that Dana Bash asked Tulsi Gabbard that were not asked to John Delaney, that were not asked to Pete Buttigieg. Don't know his last name, how to pronounce it. Like asking about, well, do you think Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is a anti-Semite? Well, if you're going to ask Tulsi Gabbard, why aren't the other two? Why aren't you asking the other two? She did not sign the Green New Deal because she feels that it is too vague, Sherry Smith. Well, then she needs to come up with her plan, to be honest with you. If she's against it, that's fine, but she has to say, what is your plan as president? Because it needs to be as aggressive as the Green New Deal. And if the Green New Deal is too vague, then I would like specifics. I think that's fair. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.